All right, well, I think we have a good number. As soon as you're able to get the slides, beautiful. Then I'll get started. All right, great. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the call. Again, my name's Tom Scarborough, for anyone that's new to these calls. And I work for YUSA, and my part of all of this is to help to onboard and provide support and provide some guidance as to direction and such for YMCA's website services. So for today, I'll be hosting the call and passing it over to people that have some wonderful demos and discussions to share with you. Today, we're going to talk about the upcoming releases over the next couple of monthly release cycles. And then we'll look at the product roadmap beyond the next few months. And as always, we close by sharing some important resources for the community. And if we have time, we can take any questions that you want to put into the chat. So let's get right into the upcoming releases. Thank you. So in the forthcoming June release, we have some great things coming. We have some advanced filtering for the Activity Finder utility. So that will include the factors like the duration for a given class session or the time of the day that you're targeting or the start month for that program. And then we also have some colorways improvements, in particular for the Activity Finder and also for the new schedules utility. And in the layout builder department, that schedules component that was demoed in prior calls, that will also be made compatible with layout builder. So for those sites that have moved on into layout builder content, but their schedules display is still in the older paragraphs mode. Now you'll be able to have more of a cohesive layout builder centric design because schedules will work with layout builder. Also, there is user experience and administrative improvements for multiple components and content types. So we continue to flesh out the full range of content that you can create within Layout Builder, again, improving that cohesive look and feel for your sites. The font support for Canadian colorway, that is also underway. So I know working with sites like namely Winnipeg comes to mind and the Canadian National site, there's definitely eagerness to get going on Layout Builder, but to keep that Canadian branding. So this will directly address that. And then once the June release is updated to your site, then you'll have the ability to start cranking out the new Layout Builder based content. Let's see, there's also some admin side improvements for internal weekly schedules. And then just as some housekeeping on our end, we will be upgrading to the latest version of, or the Drupal core 10.2. So those security updates and core updates will be available for your sites. And then in the September release, we have some things that are targeted with the highest priority item being this small Y template. So we're getting started on this endeavor. It's currently in the discovery phase, and I'll have more to share about small Y template in next month's call. But this is basically what I can share is there's some excitement around creating a template for creating sites specifically for the one branch or handful of branches YMCAs. So I'll have more detail on that next month. But we also have some important dark mode design system work. So for website users where the browser is defaulting into dark mode, or if that's the user preference, now there's some extra special care devoted to displaying our sites purposefully to adhere to dark mode. And Avi's going to talk to that in more detail in a short bit here. There's also some colorways improvements for the membership calculator that's been coming up for a little bit of time, and some Vue.js um, housekeeping items that we're going to update. And then there's this updated design for the membership calculator. That is highlighted here because there are some considerations to that that I believe Shelley can speak to in a little more detail. But it is targeted for the September release. We want to get it out in September. However, again, that small white template is the priority. So the membership calculator updated design may slip to the December release. And for the December release, as we say here, the planning is underway. We're talking about including updated iconography and the Bootstrap updates. That's some more housekeeping along the lines of the Vue.js work. And then also working in a donation module that the community has been requesting. All right, great. And I believe now to talk about Activity Finder, I'm going to turn it over to Avi. So thank you, sir.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, so I'm going to show off a couple of the things that we have going for the upcoming releases. The first is these new filters for Activity Finder. There we go. So based on a number of requests from Wise, we're expanding the filtering options in Activity Finder to help users more easily sort and filter based on some different criteria. So we have new filters for the time of day, the month in which the session starts, the duration of the session, and whether or not it's included in the membership. So as you can see here on the back end, you'll be able to, as a site builder, choose which of these filters show up. So again, we're always looking for backwards compatibility. We're not going to change anything in your site out of the box. But when you're configuring or adding Activity Finder, you'll have these additional filters that you can add to the site. And here's what some of them will look like: the day and times, and then whether or not it's included in the membership, the duration, and the start month. I'm going to show those real quick. Here's a layout builder page with Activity Finder on it. You can see here we have the day and time options. And so with that extra option on, now you have additional sub options here under each day and time. And then in the additional options, you can filter by if the session is in a member is included in your membership. Also the duration. So this is really cool. You can choose multiple days, weekly, monthly, seasonal, etc., and also the start month. The membership and month aren't configurable. Months are pretty consistent across the board. But I did want to show the duration is configurable. So if your Y has different session lengths, you can configure those and show people different options. So if your school year is a different amount of time, if you have bi-weekly sessions or quarterly, you have the option to configure this in the back end just with the number of days and the label for it. So that can that just intelligently checks how long each event activity is, and it'll let users filter there. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. Okay, next up we have some design system work. So, sorry, this flipped out of presentation mode. Okay, so we are as Tom said, we're embarking on a whole bunch of work improving the next iteration of the design system. If you remember, we've done a few iterations here. We kind of had the first generation layout builder where we kind of did the initial designs, but didn't really have the colorways integrated into them. The next generation of that, the second generation, integrated the multiple colorways into all of our layout builder components. And now what we're doing is we're taking all of that a step further to take the components that we've built and the colorways that we've built rebase them on some more current technology, and also make them more kind of composable. So we're going to increase the consistency and reusability. If you've used the layout builder, you might have seen some like very small pieces here and there that are different between components. We're going to make sure that we're using the same design language all across the board. We're going to make them reusable outside of the Carnation theme. So if you have a custom theme for your Y, it's going to be a lot easier to use that with the next generation components. Um, we're including adaptation to additional color modes. So this is something that comes from Bootstrap, which is the kind of design framework that a lot of our design is built off of. So dark mode is one of those, but I'll talk in a sec about how we can support other modes like high contrast mode. And this is going to be a huge leap forward to help customize our experience for users. And then finally, we're going to clarify the process of extending and overriding components. This is going to help for development, hopefully reduce the amount of development time for those Ys who want to do customization, and also clarify how a lot of that will work. So that was a lot of technical stuff. You might be asking, why should my Y care about this? Well, you probably know our many of our members, some are younger, some are older, and many of those older folks may have vision impairments, and so dark mode can reduce eye strain, which can increase engagement for especially folks with vision impairments. And increased engagement means higher conversion rates. So more memberships, more activities, more folks using the site for longer periods of time. Also, again, as I said, adding color modes can benefit users with visual impairments or sensitivity to bright light. You may have seen if you're using your phone at night, you refresh a page that doesn't have dark mode on it, you get that big flash of bright light. That won't happen anymore once we have dark mode. And again, there's a lot of research out there, and the numbers kind of vary, but we know that definitely more than 50% of users prefer dark mode and they choose it on their mobile devices. So if you set up a new iPhone or Android or any kind of phone in the last few years, you've noticed that on the onboarding process, you can choose whether you want light all the time, dark all the time, or to change throughout the day. All adding this will make sure that we're kind of keeping up to date with the latest mobile operating systems and the latest browsers. This is supported in operating systems and browsers across the board now. And so the goal of all of this is to make sure that our Ys are keeping up with all of our competitors and having accessible brand compliant options in a pretty competitive market. So just to show what this is going to look like, again, it's still a work in progress, but we'll have a selector probably in the utility menu that will let users choose whether they want light mode, dark mode, or to use the system or browser preferences. A lot of there are lots of kind of layers of how this is all built on the back end, but all the users will need to choose is, how they want to go forward, similar to how you pick it on your phone. And then when they choose, the site will intelligently kind of convert a lot of the layout. You'll see the main kind of background changes from white to this kind of dark gray, almost black. And all of the kind of brand colors stay pretty similar, but we flip that to really kind of help decrease the contrast for users. Just to show you a little bit more, here is a bigger version of that. This is just our initial mockup, so it doesn't include all of the components, but you can see, a lot of the kind of color-based components stay pretty similar, but those big white backgrounds flip over, and it's much easier on the eyes. This also has a benefit of using less power for many screens, so we can help the environment with all of this too. This is what purple colorway might look like, and the green. So you can see all of those colorways will stick through the color modes. It's a little bit confusing terminology. We're still working on that, but But yeah, so this is going to be a huge improvement. We think it's really going to help the Wise stand out in a big market. So that's all from me. And now I think Shelly is going to take us home.
Thank you, Avi. All right, so per usual, we'll wrap up today with a quick reminder about the product roadmap portal that we have available. We really want to hear back from you guys as we go into the latter half of 2024 and into 2025. We're going to be starting to plan next year, last half of this year. So we'd love to hear from you guys if you have new features, new ideas, things you'd like to present. Please go ahead and submit an idea via the roadmap portal. The link is right here in this slide, and we can also share it back with anyone else that might need it in the Slack channel as well. You can also review all of our previous releases, and you can be linked to release notes and other things that can kind of teach you about some of the stuff that we've released very recently. So the most recent release was in March, and there should be a good overview of that in the website. So please feel free to submit your ideas. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Shelly. And yeah, we have just, some resources that we always close out the call with that we want to make sure you know. The ds.ymca.org is our gateway into what we offer here at YUSA for digital services. The documentation at ds-docs.y.org is aimed at both developers and for content creators. So there's a bunch of varying levels of technical detail there for what you might need. That YouTube link I put into the chat, but that's where I'll update this video later. There's an excellent playlist about Layout Builder that shows you how to use the new components. And there's a lot of other great educational material there as well. For our development partners, the GitHub link there is where you can get to all of our code repos and readmes and see issues, things that are being worked on, all kinds of things. And for YUSA Slack, there's a, excuse me. Thank you, Avi. There's a link that Avi always adds. Thank you for that. And if you want to if that link doesn't work for whatever reason, but it should. But if you want to email me at tom.scarborough@ymca.net, I can get you added that way as well. And yes, and I believe that is it. So happy May, but we have a short call here. So if any of you have any questions and want to add it to the chat, or if you want to come off of mute and ask, please feel free to do so. You can stay on the call until 11:30 here. So again, any questions, we can make this an open forum.
Hey, I have a question. In regards to the activity finder for the membership, like included in membership filter, what's like an example of like a program that would qualify for that? Is it something like, are these still paid programs, or is it like free programs that you're envisioning that, but we need signups? What's an example of that?
Yeah, Avi, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I could take that. So I think it varies for each Y. Most of the folks who are using Activity Finder have an integration with some backend system that's sending that data. Some of those systems have a flag that says it's in the membership or not. And so usually there may be kind of more public facing programs. I don't have an example, but yeah, it's mostly some of the backend systems have a flag that say specific programs are included or they're not included.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, great. No, it's an excellent question, Stephen. Thank you.
Sorry, that's only half an answer. If anybody else has any of the folks on the call have more concrete examples that they could share with Stephen, totally open for that.
I think I had an example somewhere when I was doing my research for it, Stephen, and I'd have to dig it up for you. There are typically in some of the activity finder displays on some sites, you can see in the listing, it'll have where the price is, it'll say sometimes like free included in membership because there's not an additional cost on top of your membership cost. Whereas in the ones where there are additional costs, it'll say what the additional cost is. But I'll see if I can find that for you. And then Lindsay, you had a question about the updated documentation for new features, specifically the promotion content type. Yep, Avi, thank you for that. And I believe we're, apologies, a little bit behind on documentation for March, and Avi is working on the documentation for the promotion content type currently. So it'll be available in June. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit more time for that. So apologize, but everything else you can find right there at the ds-docs.y.org.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Shelley. And yeah, thank you, Lindsay, for that question. Okay, anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, oh wait, there's one. Do you offer any support for ADA compliancy? Oh, and that was directly to me. Yes, we do. We do have accessibility audits regularly and incorporate the latest guidance for accessibility standards into the core distribution. I don't know if Shelley, if you want to take that any further than what I just offered.
Absolutely. So the ADA guidelines for websites are actually called WCAG. And we've done I believe two audits in 2023 and to get to that level of compliance. And what we've been striving to meet is what's called WCAG AA compliance. There's three levels. A being the lowest, AA being in the middle, and AAA being the highest and the most difficult to achieve. What we've done is we've created new designs, and all of the layout builder components and everything for the design system has been designed to meet WCAG AA compliance. And then once it was implemented, we also ran an audit to confirm that everything was working. So we ran keyboard accessibility tests. We use screen readers and a few other tools in order to help us kind of determine what level of accessibility we can meet. And it does seem like everything is WCAG level AA compliant. So yes, we have been thinking very much about people with disabilities and making sure that they are able to access all of the content on your website.
Yeah, and I'll add, yeah, I've done a lot of those fixes. There's really great stuff. We've really kind of dug deeper than almost any project I've worked on to make sure things are not just visually accessible, but also keyboard accessible. And I mentioned when I was talking about dark mode and the other color modes, the AAA compliance level. So as Shelley said, WCAG has a number of different standards. AA is kind of what most people shoot for as the like 80%, or more solution for accessibility, and that's generally the primary standard. Different regions, different memberships may have even more strict requirements for accessibility, and so AAA is the even more visually contrasty version of those guidelines. And so that's kind of what I was referring to. If you need your content to be even more visually accessible, there's a path to doing that. It's not something that we've built out because it does take, all of the work that we do is kind of trying to fit the majority of folks. We haven't heard that as a requirement from many yet, but it is, pretty straightforward to say, we need this to be even more accessible, and with some pretty small changes to make that improvement.
Well, it's great that you shared this link as well, because I think a challenge that we have is, there's accessibility standards built into the code distribution, but then there's still a degree that the individual code editors could possibly do things that break that accessibility. So
And
I
even
think
even
having that
content
guide,
editors. Yeah,
Sorry?
even people writing content can write content that's not as accessible. Maybe long button text or things that people can't really understand is also a big part of that as well. So it's not just the technology, it's also, like you said, the coding, and it's also the content itself.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, precisely. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for that question. Okay. Great. If we don't have anything else, it looks like the chat's pretty clear. Then yeah, I think we can wrap up this call. So again, thank you all so much. Thanks for being here, and have a great rest of your day. Yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Bye.